Hey guys, Jaclyn here with Zenith Home Loan. Thank you so much for checking us out today. So what I wanted to start doing is just a series where we're interviewing some of the different vendors and partners that I work with. And so today we have Miss Beth Bales of State Farm. And she's going to talk a little bit about some of their offerings, some of the questions that I've gotten from people over the years as far as insurance is concerned, and just have her kind of touch on a couple things. So Beth, thank you for being here with us today. I really appreciate it. So why don't you just kind of maybe just take a couple minutes just to introduce yourself and how you got into insurance and why you love insurance and just anything you want anybody to know about you.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, Jaclyn, for having me on and having me just talk about this today. So I've been a State Farm agent for 7 years. And, I actually started as an intern before that for State Farm. So I started and got to work with a bunch of different agents, just learning about the insurance industry. Truly, my background was human resources but I still had like a retail schedule. And so that's why just kind of branched out and started to look at State Farm. And as I found out just how much of a great company they are and how much they just take care of their customers, as we're a mutual company, so we don't have stockholders that are driving anything we have to do. Okay. That's what really got me interested in going down the State Farm path and then, being my own boss too, in that sense. So I really get to impact my customers and my team members as well.
Very cool. And, woman-owned business, that's always super cool to see too. We like supporting those. Yeah. Cool. So let's just jump into some questions that I have gotten from people over the last couple of days. So the first one is what are the difference specifically, what are the difference between an H03 and an H06 policy? Because that's probably the most common thing that we see on the lending side. But maybe just touching a little bit too on the different types of property policies a homeowner or a renter might see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first I'll start with just defining what is an H06 policy. And so this is a policy when you have a condo or a townhome. Okay. And you have to go the H06 route because there's a master HOA policy in place by the condo association. And so that master policy is going to cover the exterior of your home. So the H06 is truly just that walls in policy. So we don't have to worry about, rebuilding the exterior of that structure. We are just ensuring the inside of your home, essentially, the walls in. Okay. And always a tidbit I love to tell people when they do have the H06 policy, one, make sure that master HOA policy is covering the exterior, because some people in some different counties, they'll have master HOA policies, but they don't actually cover the exterior. It's more for the lawn maintenance or plowing and different things like that. So make sure it's for the exterior. And then two, make sure you have loss assessment loss assessment coverage, because when there's that hail claim that damages the roof of the master HOA policy is going to cover, you still have to pay their deductible. So even though go ahead.
That's going to be like the situation where I might see my HOA's dues go up because there's like a special assessment.
Yes. Okay. You got it. So you're still responsible for their part of the deductible, and they're going to divvy it out to all the condo unit owners.
Okay. That's good to know. So the H03 policy, then that's going to be your standalone home with there's no HOA and stuff like that.
You got it. Your single family home. And this one, you really want to make sure you're looking at, do you have replacement cost or actual cash value? So that's a big thing to note with whatever insurance company you're going through, because some insurance companies also just have where the roof is just actual cash value. So if that's the case, then you're not getting a brand new roof. They're going to take out 10, 20, 30 years of depreciation, however old that roof is.
Okay. And so you said cash value versus replacement?
Yes.
Okay. And so what does that mean? Break that down for me a little bit if you can.
So that replacement cost, like let's say, if your house does burn to the ground, we're going to rebuild that whole house for what it costs. Okay.
Okay.
So that's your dwelling coverage.
Okay.
Versus if you have actual cash value, if your home is 20 years old,
Mhm.
it might cost 500,000 to replace that home, but they're going to subtract out 20 years of depreciation. So you're not
Okay.
going to get that full 500,000.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. And so if I'm a renter, then do I really need renter's insurance? What's that actually going to do for me?
Yeah, great question. I feel like I get this question a lot. One, it is always going to provide you more than likely a discount on your auto insurance. At least at State Farm, it does.
Okay.
But two, a couple things, like it's a small amount for peace of mind. So people don't actually think about this, but if your car gets broken into and they steal your laptop and maybe if you had your softball gear in there or whatever, right? You came from the gym, you have your gym bag. They would steal your phone, whatever the case may be, that's all your renter's insurance would cover. It's not actually covered under your auto insurance.
Okay. And why is that?
Yeah. So your auto insurance is just going to cover the actual damage to your car.
Just the car.
You got it.
Okay.
Yep.
So if my stuff's stolen and I didn't have renter's insurance, I'm kind of up a creek.
Yep. You're out of luck.
Cool. Good to know. Good to know. And then, so if the renter's insurance, would that be like the equivalent of what my condo policy might be if I own the house, as far as like the stuff that they're insuring? Like, do you install, like, let's say something happened to, like there's a water leak in my condo and some of my stuff got damaged. I would assume my condo association is going to take care of the damage because they own the unit I'm just renting, but then my insurance is going to cover the damage that the water did, maybe.
You got it.
Okay.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
Absolutely. And in general too, your renter's insurance is going to cover your stuff all over the world. So even if your luggage is stolen, there you go. Your renter's insurance is going to help pay for that too.
Okay. And so then that creates another question for me. So if I'm a homeowner now and I have my homeowner policy, is if my luggage gets stolen, is that covered under that particular policy, or is that a different kind of coverage I would need?
Nope, you got it. It would be under your homeowner's insurance. However, your homeowner's insurance may have a higher deductible depending on what deductible you chose. So, you
may or may not make sense to claim it.
You got it.
Okay. That's good to know. I had no idea. I've had houses for a really long time. That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about replacement coverage or replacement cost coverage? How do you guys figure out what that number should be or is?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I always want to start by kind of addressing the different kind of values you have. So how we come up with our dwelling coverage, which is what we call how to insure your home, the replacement coverage. So one, there's market value. And this changes when the market's hot and houses are on high demand and versus where they're, maybe not.
Yeah.
And so, market value also takes into account your land, the school districts as well. Okay. Then there's assessed value. So you get that little coupon in the mail that says, here's what your house is assessed at. And that's from like the county, the city. And that's the value they put on your house. But that also takes into account depreciation, and the current condition of your home. So if it's 20 years old, and the land as well. Okay. So with replacement cost, we just need to figure out the insurance value. So we want to get your house back to whole on the spot it's at. Okay. And so we have a special tool that we're going to ask you questions about your home, specifically the square footage, how much carpet, how much hardwood, what's the exterior. We're going to go through questions like that. And we also want to know if your house is custom. Like if you've got some really awesome custom work in your house, you should let your insurance agent know that. So we can take that into account and put that into our estimating tool to give us the insurance value of it. Okay. Okay. And then is the replacement cost coverage, is that also how you guys kind of determine what premiums might be there? Like what my premium's going to be, or is that completely determined by whatever deductibles I choose? Yep. Both. So, Yep. So depending on, that dwelling coverage, where it comes out, obviously there's that premium for that. But then also correct, like if you want a lower deductible, you may have to pay a little bit more for that. If you want a higher deductible, then your premium will be a little less. And at the end of the day, you should do what you feel comfortable with,
Right.
If you've got more in savings, then go with the higher deductible. If you're like, nope, that would be a stretch, then go with the lower one.
Okay. And then, so if I'm putting insurance on my house, other than bundling with my car, is there any other discounts that might be available to me based on different things that maybe I'm personally eligible for, or maybe something that's going on with the house that I should make sure that you know about too?
Yeah, great question. So one, if you have an impact resistant roof, that's a huge discount on your homeowner's insurance. So one, if you're purchasing a house, that's something you can ask about, is there an impact resistant roof, class 3 or class 4?
Okay.
Those types of roofs are going to get a better discount with your homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
Also, if you install like ADT or a home security device or a Ring camera, those are things we want to know about because there's also a discount there for that as well.
Okay. And then I've heard if you have a fire hydrant in your yard for whatever reason, that can create some kind of a discount too. Is that true? Is that just something I made up as a kid?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, the address may indicate, special discounts with zip codes, but I haven't necessarily had anything with fire hydrants in the yard.
I had a fire hydrant in my yard when I was a kid. And for some reason, I feel like somebody said, oh yeah, it's like, if your house caught on fire, then like, they don't have to go very far because it's like right there. And I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. And then I've held on to it. And then I've never actually asked a qualifying question. So.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, but
worth asking the question though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so next question has to do with claims and denial of coverage. So like if I have claims in the past, like what's the impact there for me?
Yeah, so those claims are going to show up on your loss history for about 3 to 5 years. We're going to take that into account. Okay. Now, it also depends on types of claims and things of that nature. So, there are things called catastrophe claims where maybe there was a hail or a fire that, for example, State Farm takes that into account. Like, was your claim a catastrophe? Like, that wasn't necessarily something you could control, right? Well, most claims you really can't control, but it's going to be rated differently as far as that goes. But, something else to think about is the timing of your claims. If you're having claims back to back, that could impact your eligibility, even if we are able to write you. Okay. But the big thing that I hope people know about claims or they can learn about is those zero paid out claims. So, when you just call your insurance agent or claims specifically and just say, I just want to see if I have a claim, and you just put it in and maybe you skip talking to the agent. What that does is that puts a zero paid out claim on your loss history, even though nothing got paid out, you found out it wasn't covered, or maybe the damage wasn't enough by your deductible, it was lower than your deductible. Those zero paid out claims hurt your loss history. So I highly recommend talk to your agent before just putting in a claim, because we're going to walk you through some steps, like of getting a quote first or getting with certain contractors, because we want to make sure we protect that loss history so people don't just put in claims and then they become ineligible, or it hurts their premiums too. Okay.
So it's important to have when deciding who I'm going to work with for an insurance agent, it sounds like it's really important to work with somebody that I'm going to be able to have like a one-on-one relationship with my agent, so that I'm not just calling the 800 number for the claims department or whatever, that I get to talk to a real person and be like, hey, here's what's going on. What should I do, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So next question has to do with coverage. So specifically, how often should I look at like reviewing my policy, seeing if my coverage should increase, changing my premiums, and like, how do I know if there's enough coverage on all of my stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. In general, I think when reviewing your insurance coverages, I think a minimum every 2 years, or if you have a major life change, right? So you get married, get divorced, have a baby, like those are actually all reasons to go back and make sure, is your insurance adequate? And then same thing like with your homeowners. Did you just have a major remodel? Because you want to go back and let your insurance agent know so we can update that in our system. Okay. And if you're someone who's like, I don't really do remodels, on my home and nothing's changed, then a minimum, every 5 years to look at that replacement cost tool to just make sure everything is up to date with your home. Okay. It's those little things you don't think about. Maybe you did change out, okay, countertops or cabinets, something you don't think is major, or maybe you just bought new stuff too, right?
Yeah.
In your home, making sure all that's up to date.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Let's see here. So I have, as far as the claims are concerned, if I go to file a claim, like kind of what's that process like really look like? I know we kind of touched on just making sure we're having a conversation with our agent first to make sure it's really worth submitting it. But like, so let's say it does make sense to kind of move forward. Like how do I know you're going to take care of me, I guess?
Yeah. I think one, who are you going to work with, right? Because you get to pick your own contractors and things like that if it's on your home. So we generally, a lot of those contractors or roofers stop by our office, and we build relationships with. So one, making sure it's just reputable companies you're working with, right? A lot of them stop by our office, but there are those door knockers. So just beware, right, of who you're choosing. Because at the end of the day, we are not allowed to tell you who to work with. That is totally up to you, but we can let you know who stopped by our office and things like that.
Okay.
I think too, keeping documentation of any receipts or things that you have invested in, meaning, okay, let's say with all those house fires that have recently happened, I've had a couple customers that their whole house has burned to the ground, right? And so you actually want to keep a log of those receipts, may it be what you purchased, also hotel bills, things like that, and maybe just weekly go through an Excel sheet and update that.
Okay.
But really it's that conversation of just, we like to do check-in calls and make sure everything's going okay. But keeping your agent up to date if something you feel like is going awry with your current company. So that way it can be addressed quickly, because, claims are never fun to deal with. So the faster we can get to it, like I said, I do those check-in calls, but as soon as I can find out something's going on, then I can absolutely address it.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like just keep a lot of documentation, make sure that you've got your person that you can have a conversation with. And that's probably the easiest way to kind of just keep moving through the process and just know, hey, this is kind of not going to be that much fun, but when is a claim fun? Because you've either gotten an accident or there was damage of some kind to your home or something like that.
Yeah. And it does seem like, unfortunately, in Colorado, with the amount of hail and fires, floods even we've had in the past, our body shops are busy, our contractors are busy.
Right.
And so I really think that's up to your insurance agent, right, to give you that realistic timeline. I know body shops are still 30 to 60 days out, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
But right, if you know that ahead of time, because it is inconvenient, but if you know that ahead of time, right, it just kind of helps with the ease of the situation.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that kind of covers all like the big questions that I was getting asked from people. So I guess at this point, I would love to know, it's like, is there any questions that you wish a homeowner would ask, or somebody who's looking and shopping car insurance, or just something to kind of keep in mind, or even different products and other offerings that State Farm specifically offers that maybe people just don't know about, that we want to make sure they know that they can come to you for?
Absolutely. One, just know what you're buying, right? I think sometimes we fall into that trap of saving money 15 minutes or less, right, with other companies. But truly, like, insurance is a big purchase, because it's coupled with your big purchases, your new car, your new home, right? So you want to spend the time to find out what coverages do we need. And our agency, we're going to ask you more questions about your personal life and what's going on, to find out what do we have to protect, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure State Farm pays bills on your behalf if there was a major accident or a major claim and you're not paying something out of pocket. So it's our job to ask those questions, like, how much money are you trying to protect for your retirement, your savings, your income? Because I want State Farm to pay your bill. I don't want you to have to pay your bill if a claim or when a claim happens. And then, we offer so many products, obviously auto and home. We do life insurance as well. So, protecting that that mortgage payment that you have, if something was to happen to you and you weren't able to provide for your family. And we also do disability too.
Okay.
So, you know, even if you're out of work, in the sense of you were injured and disabled, you know, that's something we can also help replace your income with.
Okay.
And now we also, we're back in the auto loan space. So State Farm has just partnered with another loan company to do auto loans. So that's down the line too.
Awesome.
So.
And then I know you guys also have a partnership with a company that handles like antique vintage cars, which is great to know, because I feel like that's becoming a little bit more of a popular pastime of clients. And then you guys also do like personal property. So like if you've got family heirlooms or jewelry and things like that, that maybe just needs a little bit extra coverage, that's something. So I guess kind of the bottom line, it's like when you're talking to your insurance company, it's not just the house. It's like, okay, what's all my stuff? If something happened to all of my things, or there was an accident or a flood or a fire, what do I want to make sure I can get replaced that's replaceable? And then finding out what you guys can do for that kind of stuff.
Yep. 100%.
Cool. Well, that's all I have for you today. Unless you have any other little tidbits that you want to share with people, I'll make sure that Beth's information is in the comment section so that we can reach out to you. But is there anything else that you want us to know, Miss Beth?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You know, so thank you for your time and getting to chat with you a little bit today.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. We'll talk with you soon.
Thanks.